In this video, we'll be going through some traditional money rules that we think can be bent or broken.
You rebel scum.
The idea for this video came from a Twitter thread from Stefanie O'Connell. So we'll be going through the replies on the thread and also coming up with our own traditional money rules that we think you should break. When it comes to money, there seems to be certain rules that need to be followed in order to have financial success. But like everything else, rules change over time, and depending on the circumstances you're in, you may be more effective at achieving your goals if you bend or break these rules. We're not talking about anything illegal here, but more like rules that have been put out there on the internet by people who talk about personal finance and money, including us. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't take our word as gospel. Instead, when you watch educational videos on YouTube about money, test those ideas in your reality, and if they work, keep doing it. If they don't work, then stop doing it. Personal finance is not a one-size-fits-all approach, hence the term personal in personal finance. While you can learn a lot from other people, ultimately you have to make an independent decision on how you are going to manage your money. So, let's go into the first traditional money rule that we think you should break. Cha-ching! Coming from Stefanie herself, is to have a 6-month emergency fund. Stefanie thinks that having a 6-month emergency fund is too little, and she's bumping her goal up to 12 months.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
So what do we think about this? Well, there are two sides to the coin. On Stefanie's side, yes, a 12-month emergency fund is twice as secure compared to a 6-month emergency fund. If you're married, or if you have kids, or if you have other people to feed and take care of, then yes, we would definitely recommend having a 12-month emergency fund. In Stefanie's tweet, she says that her husband has been out of work since March this year, and she anticipates that he will only have another job in another year. In this case, we definitely agree that a 12-month emergency fund would come in handy. In fact, I'd personally go for an 18-month emergency fund just to be extra safe. On the other side of the coin, having a 6-month emergency fund may not be suitable for everyone. For example, if you're young and you don't have any commitments, like you don't have a car loan or a house loan, and you don't have wife, kids, or other family members to take care of, then a 6-month emergency fund may not be necessary. This is because you could be pursuing something else, like for example starting a business where you could use the extra cash to invest in your business. On top of that, if you're confident that you can secure a job or a stream of income within 3 months, then you're probably okay with just having 3 months worth of emergency savings. 3 months is the lowest that we would recommend because emergencies do happen, and we don't want to be going into debt to cover our emergencies, because then we'll be digging ourselves into a hole. But if you can't afford 3 months of emergency fund, having at least 1,000 ringgit saved up is something you should really aim for. This is the minimum amount that we recommend just in case anything happens, and from there you can start building your emergency fund slowly. The second traditional money rule to break comes from Palmetto Millennial, and he says working for 40 to 45 years and then retiring. This really depends on you. For most people, working half their lives in a job that they don't like just to pay their bills is not ideal. Yes, it would be nice to be able to retire when you're young, but let's face it, retiring early is not you sitting on the beach and having cocktails every day. People who retire young usually put their work into something else they're passionate about that gives them fulfillment that their previous job couldn't. But some people love their jobs, and their jobs give them fulfillment. If you love your job and it gives you fulfillment, then we don't see anything wrong with working for however long you want and retiring whenever you want. If you absolutely hate your job, then maybe you should try pursuing a different career. If that's not possible, then yes, the traditional rule of working for 40 to 45 years and then retiring should be broken. The third money rule to break is the idea that credit cards are always bad. There is some truth to this, but the traditional idea doesn't cover the whole story. We recently released a video talking all about credit cards, so if you want the full details, watch that video. But I'm going to break it down really quick. A credit card is a tool. It can be bad for you if you use it in a wrong way, and it can be good for you if you use it wisely. People usually spend more money when they're buying things with a credit card because it's easier and less painful to swipe a piece of plastic compared to handing over cash to someone else. But credit cards can be great for getting cash back, for adding an extra layer of security to your purchases, and most importantly, for building your credit score. If you don't know how to control your spending, and if you don't know how to use one, then don't get a credit card. But if you know how to control your spending, and you know how to use a credit card to your benefit, then a credit card is a great tool at your disposal. The fourth money rule to break is another idea that renting is just throwing away money. This really depends on what you're renting, how long you're renting for, and how much you're paying to rent versus to buy, and many other factors. We have a video about renting versus buying a home and which one is more suitable for you, so if you want the whole list of pros and cons, make sure to watch that video. Nowadays, you can rent almost everything from cars to cooking equipment, so there's a lot to consider when you're renting versus owning something. So the idea that renting is always a bad thing or it's just throwing your money away is an absolute idea that has no place in our personal finance strategy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
So in short, no, renting is not always a bad choice. The fifth money rule to break is to pay down all debt regardless of their interest rates, especially before investing. So the idea is that before you start to invest, you should pay down all your debt even if it's low interest debt. While we do agree that you should pay off high interest debt as fast as you can, low interest debt is another story. We consider low interest debt as anything with a 4 or 5% interest rate annually and high interest debt as anything above that. If you have low interest debt, you can use your extra money to invest in things that would give you a 6 or 7% return annually instead of paying off your low interest debt. This way, your investments can make you money while paying off your debt at the same time because of the spread. But you should only do this if you really know what you're doing and you understand your debts and investments. A common example for Malaysians is our PT-PTN loan. We both have PT-PTN loans, but at an annual interest rate of only 1%, we'd rather put our money into investments that could give us more returns. But of course, no matter how low interest your debt is, you have to pay it off eventually. We understand that some people might want to pay off their debt immediately regardless of the interest rate because being debt-free just gives them a peace of mind. And that's a completely valid point. You don't always have to make money from the spread between your debt and investments, and sometimes having peace of mind is just priceless. So, if you're the type of person who sleeps better at night knowing that you're debt-free, then yes, you can pay off all your debts before you start investing. But if you have the financial skills and knowledge to handle your debt and investments, then paying off your low interest debt might not be the best option. Remember that debt has the ability to cripple your finances, so if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're not willing to take the time to understand your debt, then you're better off avoiding debt in the first place or paying it off as soon as you can. So those are the 5 traditional money rules that we think should be broken. Let us know down in the comments, what are some traditional money rules that you've been told that you think should be broken? Watch this video about renting versus buying a home to know which is the best option for you, or watch this video about why you shouldn't buy stocks in the stock market. See you in the next video.